Adoptee discovers parents alive 50 years after Vietnam War. For 50 years, Kirk Kellerhals lived under a shadow of silence, one shaped by war, abandonment, and a deep longing he didn't fully understand. Born in Vietnam during the chaos of the Vietnam War, Kirk was adopted by an American Army captain and his wife when he was just a toddler. With adoption papers that listed both his biological parents as deceased, Kirk grew up believing he was an orphan of war. "I was told my parents had died," Kirk recalls quietly. "That was the truth I was handed as a child, and I carried it with me for 5 decades." Growing up in Norfolk, Virginia, Kirk, and with his dark hair and tanned complexion, struggled to fit in. He was often mistaken for different ethnicities and subjected to cruel names and stares. Though he knew he was half Vietnamese, his identity was like a puzzle with missing pieces. "I was always the outsider," he says. "Even when surrounded by love, I felt incomplete, like there was a part of me lost in a war I never understood." But in 2023, everything changed with a single decision, one he made at his wife's gentle urging. She said, "Why not take a DNA test? Maybe you'll get some answers." I didn't expect much, maybe a cousin, maybe a location, but not this. Kirk submitted his DNA to Family Tree DNA, thinking it would be a quiet, inconsequential exercise. 4 weeks later, he received an email from a name he didn't recognize. It looked foreign. He assumed it was spam and ignored it, but then another email came, this time from Family Tree DNA itself. A match had been found. When I looked again and saw it was the same name, and it was Vietnamese, I started shaking. My hands couldn't stay still. Inside the first email was a phone number. Heart pounding, Kirk called. On the other end of the line was a voice he had never heard but had waited his whole life to find. It was his mother. A mother's hidden pain, a son's missing past. Tuin Nga Thi Niblet, now 67, had spent nearly 5 decades wondering what became of the baby she was forced to surrender. At just 17, she had fallen in love with an American soldier. But when she became pregnant, her conservative Vietnamese family reacted with rage and shame. Her child, Kirk, was taken from her and placed in an orphanage without her consent. Her family erased all traces of the father. Then she was sent to the United States to start over. "I never stopped looking for him," she later told Kirk. "Every birthday, every holiday, I lit a candle and prayed." Meanwhile, Kirk grew up never knowing she was alive, or that she had searched for him through immigration offices, adoption records, and online forums. Her name had been changed, her story rewritten, but her love, that had never wavered. When they spoke for the first time, Kirk says, "It was like talking to someone I'd known my whole life, even though we'd never met." The bond was instant. And before we hung up, she said, "I love you." And I said it back, without hesitation. It just came out. And then came another shock. As if finding his mother weren't overwhelming enough, Tuin Nga had more news. Kirk's biological father, Sheldon Skip Soul, was also alive, living in New York, and had never known she was pregnant. "My father left Vietnam before my mom ever had a chance to tell him," Kirk says. "Her family had destroyed every letter, every photo, every connection. He had no idea I even existed." Suddenly, Kirk, who had spent 5 decades believing he was alone in the world, had not just one, but 2 living biological parents. "It was like the ground shifted beneath me," he says. "You build your identity on a foundation, and suddenly someone tells you the foundation was never real. It was terrifying, but also beautiful." Finding family, finding himself. After the stunning reunion, Kirk began reconnecting with his biological parents and discovered an extended family he never knew existed. Siblings, cousins, stories, pieces of himself long scattered across continents. He also learned his DNA carried more than Vietnamese roots. The test revealed British, Scandinavian, and Portuguese Jewish ancestry. "My heritage was more diverse than I ever imagined," he says. "It was like learning I was a whole library when I thought I was just a page. Of course, not everything was simple. It wasn't all smiles and happy tears, Kirk admits. There were moments of pain, of confusion, of grief for the years we lost. But it was worth every second. Kirk's family, now including 3 sons and a stepdaughter, has embraced this new chapter. His children, too, have witnessed the miracle of finding what was once thought to be lost forever. And through it all, the most powerful connection has been with the woman who never gave up on him. "She's my mother," Kirk says, his voice full of quiet conviction. "We missed 50 years, but we have today. And we don't waste a moment." From silence to wholeness, Kirk's story is more than just a DNA match. It's a testament to the resilience of love, the kind that survives war, time, and silence. It's about the power of identity, the wounds of separation, and the beauty of reunion. "It still feels surreal," he says. "Sometimes I look at her photo on my phone and think, she's really here. I'm not alone anymore." And perhaps most touching of all, he adds, "When I said I love you that first time, I didn't just say it to her. I said it to the part of me that had been waiting my whole life to be found."